There's many game sequels out there. Some that people expect every year, some that come from surprise and shock the world, and some that just should not have been made. There are also sequels in which people wish would have been made. So, here is my
Top 5 video game sequels I want made.
Pokemon Pinball. This little Pokemon spin-off could perhaps be one of the finest pinball games made, and in my opinion, the Game Boy version and the Game Boy Advance version were pretty entertaining. Myself, I played the pinball games to fill in the void when I'm not busy trying to catch them all. With the release of Pokemon X and Y coming soon, a pinball game based on X and Y should be released, but not as a retail game. With the 3DS, it would perhaps be better to have it as a 3DS shop download, due to my previous comment of it being a filler game, for when you just want to have a break from playing Pokemon. But don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with it being a filler. If perhaps it could have some connectivity with X and Y, for example, Pokédex entries, in-game items perhaps, exclusive Pokemon to the pinball game, etc, etc. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Most people don't even know what this game is, but this game is from my childhood. I spent so many hours playing the first game, and the fact that each playthrough had different experiences made it so much better. To compare it with modern gaming, Lord of the Rings War of the North would be a perfect example of what Dark Alliance is about. I've only played Lord of the Rings briefly, but I can definitely see it being a true example of what Dark Alliance could be, and I could definitely see it selling well with the fans of the series and newcomers alike. I hope. Shenmue 3. If you haven't heard of Shenmue, it's an open world game where Ryo Izuki is out to avenge his father. The game had so many cool elements, including arcade machines, collectible figures, awesome fight sequences, and a nice narrative to top it all off. The first game was amazing, the second game was almost perfect. The reason behind this?
Fucking cliffhanger ending!
The game left at a terrible place and it was destined to have Shenmue 3 made. But no, the Sega decided to be a bunch of arseholes and not make it. The sequel would definitely sell in my opinion, seeing that as it's one of those games fans have expected for such a long time, and mixing the original game's elements with modern day aspects like multiplayer perhaps, console exclusive items, a more fluid gameplay, I think it would become a bestseller. And seeing as it's been over 10 years since Shenmue 2 came out, I think it would be a great idea to release Shenmue 1 and 2 as HD remakes for consoles, perhaps as downloadable titles perhaps. Then people could play these before the release of Shenmue 3 to get back into that Ryo Hazuki mode. Star Wars Battlefront 3. There's been so many times when people have thought that this game was being made, and sadly LucasArts let us all down. But perhaps it was for the good. Why, you ask? Well, why make another Battlefront game when Battlefront 2 already had locations from all the Star Wars movies? No point in making an exact copy of a game with boosted graphics and new features, eh? I mean, who would do that? Anyhow, with the fact that a new Star Wars trilogy is being made by Disney now, I think now would be a perfect time to create Battlefront 3 at last. We have new locations to visit, new factions to play as, and loads more. And seeing how gaming has changed in the last 10 years, whoever made Battlefront 3 could easily implement current first-person shooter and third-person shooter elements to the already awesome gameplay of Battlefront to create a defiant contender against COD. Now is the perfect time to start work on the next Battlefront game. Timesplitters 4. Wow then, back in the day when COD wasn't the king of first-person shooters, one of the most awesome games we had was Timesplitters. Using the mechanics of GoldenEye 64, a critically acclaimed game in itself, and the fact that the character roster was amazing. I mean, shooting people as a monkey is just amazing! Timesplitters definitely put the fun in first-person shooters. Also, that map making feature? Absolutely awesome. So why make a sequel when the game was already awesome? Well, like Star Wars, it's been 10 years nearly since Timesplitters Future Perfect came out, and I think first-person shooters nowadays just aren't fun. And I know copying the mechanics of a game is not ideal really, but could you imagine Timesplitters playing like modern era first-person shooters? With that character roster as well. Oh wow, I think we wowed you a comical first-person shooter, and if we could go back to the days where you play shooters for fun with your mates and just have a good time, I would definitely be happy. No more raging, no more competitive arseholes that just ruin a game. Just the game to have a good laugh, and when you die in the game, you don't feel like you want to chuck your controller at a wall. Bring back the casual shooters for crying out loud!